Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel Rapid Chemistry. In today's class, I am Ranjan Das would like to start Bohr's atomic model. In the last two classes of atomic structure, we have had a basic understanding of atoms, its fundamental particles, Rutherford's model and its merits and demerits. And also Planck's quantum theory, electromagnetic spectrum, wave equation, line spectrum, etc. But it's time to start Bohr's atomic model. Okay, let's start. In 1913, Niels Bohr, an eminent scientist, successfully explained the stability of an atom and the cause of appearance of line spectra with the help of Planck's quantum theory. He rectified the defects of Rutherford's nuclear model and put forward a new atomic model for hydrogen atom, which is known as the Bohr's atomic model or Rutherford's Bohr atomic model. Bohr's model based on three important postulates, and the very first one is the electron in the hydrogen atom revolves around the nucleus only in certain selected circular paths, and which are said to be orbits according to Niels Bohr. And these are associated with definite energies. The electrons revolve only in those orbits in which the angular momentum of the electron is a whole number multiple of h by 2 pi. So that theory tells that the electrons cannot move in all the possible orbits around the nucleus. There are some specific paths, and where the angular momentum is a whole number multiple of h by 2 pi. The angular momentum of electrons, all those which are revolving around the nucleus, okay, having a value, angular momentum is to be expressed by mvr equals to nh by 2 pi, where n can be 1, 2, 3, 4, that is whole number. Okay. Okay, now let's move to postulate number 2, and that is when an electron revolves in any selected orbit, it neither emits nor absorbs energy. The energy of an electron in a particular orbit remains constant. These orbits are therefore called stationary orbits. That means stationary orbits are the specific paths in which when electrons are revolving, they neither emit nor absorb energy. That is, their energy remains specific and fixed, although the electrons are not stationary. Okay, so there may be misconception regarding stationary orbit. That means the stationary, what is stationary here? And here the stationary is the energy of the electrons. Okay, energy of the electrons. The electrons are not stationary, but their energy. Okay, electrons revolving in a stationary orbit are said to be in the stationary state. Okay. Each stationary orbit is considered as the energy level. The energy of an electron revolving in a stationary orbit is supposed to be the energy of that particular orbit, although the orbit has no energy of its own. The energy of the orbit increases with increase in its distance from the nucleus. Depending on the distance from the nucleus, these orbits are divided and named as K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. Okay, and and they are designated respectively by the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. And the numbers signifying the energy levels are known as principal quantum numbers, and that one we will discuss in details afterwards. Before we read out the postulate number 3, let's look at the figure given here. And here, say nucleus is there at the center, and these are the specific paths in which electrons can revolve. And according to the distance from the nucleus, the very earlier one here, that is the closest to the nucleus, has been named as K, and then L, then M, N, O. Okay, and these are the specific orbits. And whenever electrons are generally jumping from lower cell to higher cell, and as we have already said that the energy of the electrons in the higher cell increases. That means if the distance from the nucleus increases, the energy of the electrons also increases. That means that is one electron whenever in that place and another electron in that place. Okay, so energy of this electron is more in compared to that one. So that's why whenever one electron jumps from lower cell to higher cell, it will absorb energy. And vice versa. And if one electron jumps from higher cell to lower cell, and it will release certain amount of energy. That is, emission of energy occurs whenever one electron jumps from higher cell to lower cell, and the vice versa. That means, and the absorption of energy occurs whenever one electron jumps from lower cell to higher cell. So that is all about the third postulate. Okay, let's read out once here. When an electron jumps from a higher stationary energy level to a lower stationary energy level, it emits a fixed amount of energy in the form of radiation. On the other hand, when an electron absorbs a certain amount of energy, it moves to a higher energy level. Electrons can never occupy a position in between two successive stationary energy levels. That means electron can never be there in between these two orbits. Okay, in between two orbits, two fixed orbit. The very third postulate of Bohr's theory can be expressed mathematically like this. Okay, that means say E1 and E2, that is the energy of the two fixed orbit. Okay, and if E2 is the energy of the higher cell and E1 is the energy of the lower cell, and that means so whenever one electron jumps from higher to lower cell, and the amount of energy that is to be released, and that should be delta E. Delta E should be E2 minus E1, and that must in the form of according to the Planck's quantum theory, and h nu, that is the energy changes, that is energy released or absorbed, whatever it be, equals to h nu. And h and nu, h is the Planck's constant and nu is the frequency of the electromagnetic radiation. Okay, due to such transition of electron from lower to higher cell or higher to lower cell, and some definite lines in the emission spectra of hydrogen has been found. Now we would like to have a relation in between quantization of energy and Bohr's model. So according to Bohr's model, energy of the electron in atom is quantized. So what does it mean? Quantization means that a quantity cannot vary continuously to have any arbitrary values, but can change only discontinuously to have some specific values, and that can best be understood by taking a simple experiment. An example. Concept of quantization of energy can be understood by that simple figure, and one ball is falling along that line, and here the staircase are there, so the ball may fall all through that path also, and the difference is, okay, look at here what they would like to say. The concept of quantization of energy can best be understood by taking the example. When a person moves down a staircase, his energy changes continuously. He can have only certain definite values of energies corresponding to those of the various steps. That means the energy of each steps, okay, energy of the each steps will vary. But here the energy is continuous. Okay, as written here, energy of the person is quantized. However, if he goes down a ramp, his energy changes continuously, having any value corresponding to any point on the ramp. In short, energy is not quantized. That means, and here energy is not quantized, but here energy is quantized. According to Bohr's model, an electron in an atom can be present only in those orbits in which angular momentum of the electron is a whole number multiple of h by 2 pi. Moreover, these orbits are associated with definite amount of energy, as I have already said here. Hence, the electron in an atom can have only certain definite values of energy, and that is energy of the electron in an atom is quantized. Hopefully you got it, that one. Now we will discuss the calculation of various quantities for hydrogen-like atoms using Bohr's theory. Now we have to know what are the hydrogen-like atoms. Hydrogen-like atom means all those atoms which having only one electron. That means, that is hydrogen itself, okay, having only one electron. Helium single plus, that is having one electron. And the lithium 2 plus, that is having single electron. That means these are helium single plus, lithium 2 plus, beryllium 3 plus, and these are the hydrogen-like atoms. For hydrogen-like atoms, Niels Bohr calculated the nth orbit radius of the nth orbit by simple basic understanding. Look at the figure here. That means whenever one electron is revolving around a specific path, okay, and specifically, the centrifugal force is there and which is acting away from the nucleus, and the centripetal force is there and which is acting towards the nucleus. And due to balancing of these two forces, the electrons are actually moving around the nucleus. From the basic understanding of this balancing of forces, Niels Bohr calculated the radius, and the radius of nth orbit, and the radius of the nth orbit we have to remember, and that is coming to be n square h square by 4 pi square mz e square. And what are the terms? N is the number of cell, h is the Planck's constant, and m is the mass of the electron, and z is the atomic number of that element, and e is the charge of that electron. So that is the radius of the nth orbit. And the velocity of the electron in the nth orbit is found to be that one, okay. The velocity of the electron in the nth orbit 2 pi z e square by nh, and for hydrogen z value would be 1. Here putting the value n equals to 1, that means the velocity of the electron in the first orbit and the velocity of the electron nth orbit can be taken, and here the ratio of the velocity of the electron in the nth orbit to the velocity of the electron in the first orbit is found to be that one, okay. So Vn equals to V1 into 1 by n, okay. From the equation of the nth orbit, radius of the nth orbit, that equation, and we can also have a relation between the radius of the first orbit to radius of the nth orbit, and they having relation that one. That is the radius of the nth orbit should be equals to radius of the first orbit into n square, okay. That means if you know the radius of the first orbit, and for the fifth orbit it will be the radius of the first orbit into 5 square it would be. For the third orbit it would be 3 square, okay. And the total amount of energy of the electron in the nth orbit is found to be that one as given in the box, and you all have to remember that one. And the nth orbit of electron on having that amount of energy, okay. So minus 2 pi square z square m e square e to the power 4 by n square h square. That is the expression for the electron in the nth orbit. Now the question arises, the why that minus sign of that electron, and that can be understood from that one, okay. So just try to understand here different energy levels of hydrogen atom, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. That means whenever the energy of the electrons, that is decreases, okay, that is the decreases from here to here, and at the infinite distance the energy of the electron is found to be 0, okay. Now look at here, the electronic energy as the negative energy. When an electron is at infinite distance, as I have shown right now, from the nucleus, it experiences no force of attraction from the nucleus. Hence the energy of the electron at infinite distance from the nucleus is taken as 0, okay. When the electron moves towards the nucleus, it experiences a force of attraction from the nucleus. As a result, some energy released, okay, and the energy of the electron becomes negative. Due to release of energy, the stability of the electron occupying a fixed orbit in the atom is increased. As the electron comes closer to the nucleus, it experiences greater force of attraction and hence more energy is released, thereby making the electronic energy more negative. Okay, got it? All these facts are in accordance with the expression for electronic energy, that one. So ultimately we have to remember the energy of the electron in the nth orbit in that form. Okay, and we can also have value the relation between energy at the nth orbit and energy at the first orbit, and the ratio, and that ratio is coming to be 1 by n square, and here the relation. Okay, now we will try to find out the radius of the first orbit of hydrogen atom. As we know here, and we got that is the for hydrogen like atom, the radius at the for the nth orbit is that one, and if we put n equals to 1 and for hydrogen z equals to 1, and we can have that value, and the value here is 0.53 into 10 to the power minus 8 centimeter or 0.53 angstrom, and that is the radius for the hydrogen of the very first orbit. Okay, in the last class we have had a equation, that is the Rydberg equation or wave equation, that one. Okay, so but how the equation came, and that has not been discussed, and today right now I will discuss the equation and how it came. Okay, now we will discuss derivation of Rydberg equation. So Rydberg equation, so whenever one electron jumps from the n2 orbit to n1 orbit, the energy is released, and how much energy would be released, and that must be in the form of the electromagnetic radiation, and according to Planck's quantum theory, and that would be h nu equals to energy in the n2 orbit minus energy in the n1 orbit. And now we know the energy of the electron in the n2 orbit, and that is that one, and energy of the electron in the n1 orbit, that is that one. So the energy released would be that one. Okay, by taking common that part, that is 2 pi square m e to the power 4 by h square, we got that equation. Okay, and here nu equals to equal nu I wrote here, and h, and h whenever you taking it on the right side, and the h square would be h cube. Okay, so in the place of nu we can write c by lambda, because we know nu equals to c by lambda. Okay, so and now just take that c on the right hand side, so you are getting 1 by lambda. So 1 by lambda is that one, and that one, that is 2 pi square m e to the power 4 c h cube, and that would be Rydberg constant, capital R. Okay, so that would be Rydberg constant, and 1 by lambda we know that is the nu bar. Okay, 1 by lambda, that is nu bar, that is wave number. Okay, that's why we got that equation, nu bar equals to R, that is the Rydberg constant, 1 by n1 square minus 1 by n2 square, and the n1 is the closer cell, and the n2 is the cell which is away from the nucleus in compared to this two. Okay, that means whenever one electron jumps from the n2 to n2 cell to n1, and for that one we can apply that equation. Okay, from that equation, that is the Rydberg equation. Okay, from Rydberg equation we can find out the ionization potential of hydrogen atom. So before we find out the ionization potential of hydrogen atom, you have to know what is ionization potential. And as we have studied in the last class, last year, so ionization potential is the minimum amount of energy required to release one electron from the single gaseous atom to make it unipositive cation. Okay, and for hydrogen atom, so we can find it out. How? Let's see. Okay, so here ionization of potential of a hydrogen atom, that means the the hydrogen is there in the first cell, that is N1 is taken as 1, and if you want to take it totally eliminated from the nucleus, that means in the away from the nucleus, so N2 should be infinity. So if we put N1 equals to 1 and N2 is infinity, so whatever the energy we are getting, and that would be the ionization potential for hydrogen atom, and that is actually can be found out like this. Let's look at here the equation. So ionization potential of a hydrogen atom in CGS unit. So that equation is there in the place of n1, that is the first orbit, and you wish to move that electron towards at the infinity, and then only the electron is totally released. So here, so just putting these values, so we can have the value 13.6 electron volt per atom, and that would be the ionization potential of hydrogen atom. So hopefully you got it, that one. In different unit these values are written, because we know, so ionization potential is nothing but an energy term, and there are many different kinds of energy units, so we can express that one in different unit, but the better one is that one, you must have to remember. There are some specific merits of Bohr's atomic theory, and these are: the stability of the atom can be explained, okay, and the line spectrum of hydrogen atom or hydrogen like atom has been explained on the basis of Bohr's theory, okay, and the radius of the first orbit of hydrogen and atom we have found out, and that is almost same, okay, and the principal quantum number idea we got from the Bohr's theory, and the energy of an electron and can also be found from the Bohr's concept, okay. In spite of having so many positive aspects of Bohr's atomic theory, and there are some limitations of Bohr atomic model. And the very first one, spectral of atoms or ions having two or more electrons, that is the multi-electron system, cannot be explained with the help of the Bohr's theory, okay. And Bohr's theory could not explain the splitting of the spectral lines under the influence of magnetic field, which is said to be Zeeman effect, and or in the presence of electric field, and that is said to be Stark effect, okay. Bohr's atomic model is two-dimensional and hence failed to give an idea about the actual three-dimensional of the electronic model of an atom, okay. According to de Broglie in the year of 1923, a tiny particle like electron has dual character, that is, electron has particle as well as wave nature, and that one we will discuss, okay. Bohr treated electrons only as a particle, that is, the Bohr's model ignored the dual character of an electron. So these are the different limitations of Bohr atomic model. Now let's look at the comparison of Rutherford atomic model and Bohr's atomic model, okay. So you have in all the different books basic comparison between the Rutherford's and Bohr's atomic model, that is, there are similarities and there are dissimilarities, okay. And definitely Bohr's atomic model is one step advanced in compared to Rutherford's atomic model, but that is not absolute one, okay. And after Niels Bohr, there are many scientists who came to clear all those pitfalls or limitation, and such one scientist here is there, Sommerfeld, okay. And the Sommerfeld first told that the concept of, that is, the elliptical orbit. According to Sommerfeld, the electrons are not revolving in the circular orbit only, and there can be elliptical orbit, and that is the concept of Sommerfeld, okay. And that one we'll discuss in the next unit. Thank you all.